Dennis the Menace. I appreciate you guys showing up for this live. We got something to talk about, as you saw with the title. The trade war, supposedly, so-called trade war, has begun between the United States, China, and Mexico. I did a video back in the day, well, not back in the day, I did a video a few weeks ago talking about the planned tariffs and how Mexico and Canada in particular, began to change their behavior, as we all remember, after Donald Trump initially said he was going to put tariffs. First, they came out and they were talking extremely tough. And then they came to this sense, or what we thought. We actually thought that this was over. But it looks like with continued talks, neither country satisfied Donald Trump and the Trump administration. There hasn't been any talk about what happened that changed the mind of Donald Trump, but we do know that there has been a 25% tariff placed on goods coming from Canada, a 25% tariff placed on goods coming from Mexico. Initially, it was a 10% tariff on goods coming from China, and now Donald Trump has imposed an extra 10% tariff on goods coming from China, so 20% total on all goods coming from China. Now, these three nations are our largest trading partners. We do the most business, the most bilateral trade, or in some sense, that's the reason why we are doing this, because they put tariffs on our goods and we don't put tariffs on theirs, or there's not enough trade, there's a trade imbalance. But these are our biggest trading partners in the United States. And now we have tariffs. And I got to be honest with you guys, I'm on the fence. I'm kind of 50-50. I'm really undecided. I do believe in aggressive action. I do believe that all relationships should be mutually beneficial. So if you're being taken advantage of, then you should definitely do what's necessary to let people know that they can't take advantage of you. But I'm just not sure. And I'm not sure how long this is going to last, just like most of us are not sure about that. I'm not sure how this is going to affect everything. One thing that it is affecting is the U.S. stock market. I'm looking at my portfolio. I can't tell you a percentage number of how far my portfolio has gone down, but my portfolio looks the worst that it has looked in a very long time. And for some people, it might be a little scary, but usually these things return. So I see this as a buy-in time in the U.S. stock market, because we may not see prices this low for another 10, 15, 20 years. Who knows? But it's the same thing for crypto. So those crypto now, the last time I checked, which was about an hour ago, crypto was at around $80,000 per Bitcoin. That's where Bitcoin was. And pretty much the rule of thumb is wherever Bitcoin goes, the rest of crypto pretty much follows. So at this moment, we've already seen some effects from these tariffs. I believe it was one of the premiers in Canada from Ontario that said that he was willing to cut the gas supply to the United States, and they also provide power for 1.5 million New Yorkers and all these other threats that were coming out before the tariffs went active. He said this sometime yesterday. At this point, I don't think we've seen anything that drastic happen. I'm not sure if the Prime Minister of Canada would have any say-so over that or could stop those things from happening, Justin Trudeau. I'm not even sure if he would. But one thing that is true is that Mexico and Canada, if we're already seeing these issues with our economy, Mexico and Canada will or probably have already begun to see much more severe issues in their economy. And I think that's the angle that Donald Trump is taking, is that a little pain is fine as long as the United States can get what it wants, and uh, make sure that we don't have trade imbalances with so-called friends. In the video that I did probably about a month ago when this first started, I talked about the trade imbalance and how when you look at the numbers, it doesn't seem like it wouldn't, if you were just looking at the numbers, the trade imbalance wouldn't make it seem like we were really friends with Canada or Mexico. If you just looked at the numbers, it really wouldn't seem like these were our friends because of just how much more we're giving them and not receiving uh, the same amount back. So as a result of there being a trade imbalance, this is definitely going to affect them more simply off of that fact. But we got the double issue is that our economy is much larger and much stronger and much more robust. So if this is a game of chicken, Donald Trump is 100% right. These countries cannot play or sustain a game of chicken with the United States, especially when it comes to economics or military power. But again, even with me knowing that fact, currently I'm still on the fence about this whole thing. I'm still on the fence about Donald Trump's decision to apply these 25% tariffs. And the reason why, let's say, for instance, in Canada, they make certain vehicles for certain companies. Donald Trump would like to see those jobs come back to the United States. However, let's say that that particular vehicle is a $50,000 vehicle. If that vehicle is a $50,000 vehicle and we have a 25% tariff, then assuming, and I know these numbers are not exactly right because the way it works is when you have supply chains, as you move along those supply chains, the price of the object increases. So this is not really an accurate explanation, but it does give us some sense of how this can affect us. So in other words, in supply chains, there's a company that makes the vehicle, that makes the different parts of the vehicle, and then they sell those to the company that is going to assemble the vehicle. And so the price of all the parts is much lower than what me and you can buy it because they're buying them in bulk, first of all. And not, you can't even just say bulk. They're buying, you know, millions of parts at one time. That is bulk, but, you know, it's not like us buying bulk and we get like 20 bags of tissue or something. It's not the same thing. These are tens of millions, hundreds of millions of parts that are going to be sold, so they can save as a result of how large the order is. But they sell the parts to the person, the manufacturer, the tire company. Goodyear sells bulk tires to the manufacturer, and then the manufacturer puts them together, and then they sell that to the dealerships, or the name of, they sell that back to Ford, and then Ford sells those cars to the dealership. So each time it trades hands, the price of the vehicle increases until it makes it to the consumer. So making that known, let's go back to my example that is not really an accurate representation. But let's say this car, when it was finished at a manufacturing plant in Canada or Mexico, it was $50,000. You divide 50,000 by 4, you get, if you divide 50,000 equally, you get 12.5. So $12,500 will be 25% of 50,000. So that means that car now would cost with the tariff $62,500. $62,500. Now again, it probably won't be that high because these countries and their plants are earlier on the manufacturing or the supply chain, but it is still going to be significant, and that's a big jump. There's some people here in the United States that they can only handle a car that's worth $12,500. I mean, 12,500. Let's see, how much would that be over 5 years? Um, that person would have to pay somewhere around. I don't want to do the math on that, but over 5 years, that person would have to pay over $2,000 on that payment. Which, in all honesty, that doesn't seem that bad. But we start talking about interest rates, and most of the time, if you have a car around $12,500, they're not going to give you 5 years. They'll give you 3 years, 2 years, 3 years. So it'll still end up being a $300, $400, $500 payment. Um, but this has major ramifications for the short term in the United States economy, and depending on how long these countries hold out, um, it is definitely going to affect their economy a lot worse. And I want to look at you right now and tell you that there's nothing to worry about because they can't withstand what the United States can stand. But we've already been through so much with inflation that this just seems like overkill. And that's the reason why I'm on the fence, is because of the timing and the suffering of the American people currently. But then sometimes you have to get beyond the short term and really start looking at the long term. And hopefully, Donald Trump has that particular type of mindset. Um, but I want to know what you think about these tariffs. Even if you see this video later, I'm going to be checking these comments because I really want to know what you think. If you disagree with the whole idea, let me know. But just don't say you disagree. Provide some context as to why you don't agree with these tariffs and whether or not you think it's a good idea or not. Um, I'm not sure how this is going to play out. I know my portfolio right now is at least down by 20%. Let me see. It's down by around, I'll say around 16, 17, 18%, somewhere in that margin. On stocks and with crypto, from yesterday, it's down 10%, which is significant. Um, so I'm hoping that's all I have to feel on it. They say that gas prices may rise a little bit, but gas prices in North Carolina, at least, were already down by around 30 cents. So maybe there was something done to prepare for it. I'm not sure what the strategic reserves are looking like. I know the company that was building the pipeline, the gas pipeline. I was about to say Nord Stream. That's in Europe, but the pipeline that was shut down by the Biden administration said that they had moved on and they weren't going to come back and finish operations on it. I'm sure there's another company that can handle it, but still, it doesn't mean that they were sitting around not doing any work when you give them a call. So I'm not sure if that's going to hold that pipeline up. I'm guessing it will, but there's just a lot going on, guys, and I want to know what you think about these tariffs. Um, I know that, and a lot of people don't know this, Canada was also saying that the United States was dependent on its lumber. But a lot of people don't know that around a month ago, the governor, and you can look it up, um, the governor of Alaska did a press conference, and it said that the Biden administration had really tied their hands so that they couldn't really produce and cut down lumber in Alaska. Now, keep in mind that Alaska is the largest state in the United States. It is much larger than Texas and California, and it is the last frontier. Most of it is uninhabited, so there is ridiculous amounts of lumber in Alaska, and they were saying that they were willing and ready to produce the lumber that we needed in Alaska. So we really don't need Canada's lumber. We got Montana, we got Wyoming, we got so many. We even got Colorado. I mean, it's just so many. Even North Carolina, where I'm at, we see a lot of tree farming out here. If you ever ridden down the road and you see a lot of trees cut, and then you ride right past there, you see a lot of like small baby pine trees. Those are places where they're doing a lot of tree farming. They come in, they cut those trees, and they replant some baby trees, and within about 10 years, those trees are ready to be cut again, depending on what type of tree it is. And what they do is they cut down sections. Let's say you got 1,000 acres, you might do 150 acres at a time, and you do that every year and a half. So every 10 years, every year and a half, you a certain part of that forest is mature enough for you to cut again. So I don't think that's a big issue. Um, Moving jobs back to the United States is not a quick fix. It is definitely something that takes time. You got to hire people, train people. You got to get facilities ready to receive them and do construction on those facilities, bring them up to code. It could take years. So right now I have more questions than I do answers, but I definitely want to know what you think about these tariffs. And I also, do me a favor, like this video, subscribe to the channel. I want you to keep me updated about what's happening in your area. And I would love to bring some of you on at some point so you can give me an update of what gas prices are looking like in your area, and just generally what's going on in your area and how this is affecting your local area. Most of the time we get a general sense. They say prices have risen this much in North Carolina, but prices vary across the whole state. So I would much rather have a much more on the ground answer to what's actually going on. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys. Let me know what you think. Like, share, and subscribe. Go to my channel. Check out some of my other pre-recorded videos. I don't often go live, but go see some of my professionally pre-recorded videos. Drop a comment, hit the like button, and let's stay connected so we can let everybody know what's going on. Appreciate you joining the Mr. Wilson's Got a Headache podcast. I'm your host, Dennis the Menace. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you on the next video.